members of the human family. Today is Wednesday, the 17th of October, 2024. Welcome to the General Durability Podcast. I am Ajman Wugdi in Mohammedia, Morocco, and my guest is Ismeta Kurkic from Austria. She is an aspiring entrepreneur in the field of ecological consulting. And after reading many of her insightful posts using the platform LinkedIn, we came into contact, and I've asked her to share with me this space in order to help me and the audience in our quests for knowledge, ultimately self-knowledge, in order to be able to generate a better future, a durable future. Uh, Welcome, Esmeta. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thanks.
Great.
How are you?
Yeah, fine. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation. Uh,
Yeah,
how is
just letting you know. So the 17th is tomorrow. It's actually my birthday.
Oh
So
my God,
today is the
today.
16th.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, today is the 16th. That's great. Great mistake. Uh,
No worries.
yeah, I should do. Yeah, good one. Thank you. Uh, Where are you and how is the weather doing? I start I start with answering this question. I am on the shores of the east coast of the Atlantic, meeting Africa, meeting the Atlas Mountains, and today and yesterday is cloudy. The first rain came since about 6 months or so. Uh, how's the weather doing where you are?
That's a great question, actually. Um, the weather here is, I think, Swiss typical in a way. It's cloudy. It's on and off rainy. I think it's pretty warm outside. I haven't been, so it's morning here.
Yeah,
So pretty warm for this for autumn, let's
yeah.
say. But it smells nice. You can smell autumn. You can smell the freshness. So it's great. It's actually my autumn and spring are my favorite seasons of the year actually. So I
Yes,
love it.
yes. So especially in Switzerland, because the winter there is too cold.
Oh, it depends. The last years it was partly pretty warm, but then we also had periods of pretty much snows. It's changing, let's say. Yeah, but I like winter too, so it's I don't mind it too much. I'm
Yeah,
actually not
okay.
a heat person. I'm not a summer like full-blown summer person. So,
Yes,
so
so
I guess I'm in the climate.
okay, great. Let us start with the take a minute or two or three, take your time and tell us a little bit about yourself and how it came to be that you engage with the ecological system and your studies, your background, and what motivated you to start a career as an entrepreneur in this field?
Yeah, thanks a lot for this question. My background. So yeah, I've maybe let's start with the present. I've recently founded Lilaco, um, which uh, which is a one-man show or one-woman show. And I want to help landowners to really boost or maximize land health, their land's health by water harvesting, optimizing water infiltration, and also by using plants. And yeah, I want to guide them to help them and to co-create with them on the best solutions for what they seek. And how I came to this point here, I studied microbiology, so I have a PhD in life sciences or microbiology. I worked with salmonella, and After that, I decided, okay, academia is not the right place for me. I'm gonna go into industry where I can change something on a large scale. So I chose a pretty big company in the agri field, in the agribusiness, and I started working there in the sustainability department. Because, as I said, I wanted to have impact. I wanted to change the world from from a big mighty position in a company. But then after a while, I actually saw that I actually can't change that much in a big corporation. You're this little screw. This is what I felt. And you do basically what you are told to, and it's quite narrow. And I needed this feeling, like this direct interaction and this feeling and the result, to see the result. So I switched that in between. So I changed that and quit, and uh, then kind of searching story began, self-searching story began. I worked a bit also for a foundation on strategy. This foundation was Bosnia related, so my country of origin. Did a bit of strategy there, but in between, I also found permaculture. So I did a certificate, and I really liked so many points that I learned there, and so many aspects of how we could do with the environment differently. And this is why I decided kind of to go into sustainability from a completely different perspective, because I started, agribusiness, chemicals, seeds, in the sustainability department, and took basically 180 degrees change into sustainability. And I'm now coming actually from a very different angle, um, and want to integrate and establish myself there, and want to dedicate my time actually on life and on creating life. And in creating life, or life itself, water is actually such a key aspect. And this is also one aspect why you invited me for this podcast, and how I came to water, and why water. It's I remember when I was a child, when I went back to to Bosnia with my parents. So by then we lived in Austria, where I grew up. And we went to Bosnia, and we don't have water there still in our house. And all these times when we went there, I had to go and get some water for us. And it was a 10-15 minutes walk to a spring in a close by
Yes.
mountain, and then going back with all the water so that we can take a shower, or do some cooking. So it's really an aspect that kind of shaped me as well. And I'm always very careful on not wasting water still. And I think it's just so precious, and we've kind of lost touch on the importance of it, and why we should take care of it, and why we should focus on it a bit more. And
Yes.
this
Yeah.
is why it became also a bit of a passion in this finding journey of where I'm going. And right now it's really a key aspect on where I want to focus on.
Yeah. Great. Great. Well described. Yes. Academia is difficult in academia is difficult to innovate, and cooperate big cooperations is also very difficult to innovate, because there are a lot of restraints and bureaucratic norms, and simply when you are young, people think, oh, she is not that experienced to come with that idea, or he is not experienced to come with that idea. And yes, also there is low motivation for not motivation, but support for true innovations, because they change small things and say it's innovation. No, sometimes you need to turn, like you have done, 180 degrees the other, in order to get a better understanding and to observe. Observation is also very important. especially in this topic that we have for today, which is mainly water. Yes. Uh, Permaculture, this is very, I didn't know that's also a great topic for the podcast. We already have covered that with someone experienced in the field, and it's promising. And there is similarities also with the syntropic farming. And the combination of syntropic farming and permaculture seems very interesting to me, to be honest. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
I
Uh,
also like it. I think there is a lot of similarities, but of course, there is like definition A, definition B, but in the end, I feel like the end goal is quite similar. So maybe different focuses, but I guess that's a different discussion
yes,
point.
yes, yeah, yes. There is more similarities than are than other things, but. What, according to my understanding, I'm not from the field. I'm from civil engineering background, so I'm thinking about it differently. And I think syntropic farming is more like organized, and permaculture it can be a little bit random. So this is the main difference that I have understood so far. Yeah. Okay, let's us start with some. I like always to start with definitions to make things a little bit clearer. So when we say water, we have what do we mean by it? What do we mean by water in general? And what is the water cycle? Can you enlighten us a little bit about this topic and maybe some factors influencing the water cycle patterns?
Mhm. Yeah. So water, for me, water is life. It's I think
Water.
water is the foundation of life.
Yeah.
I think there is, for me, not much more to explain. It's it's flowing. It shows the way. We consist of around 60% of water, humans. The planet, 71% of its surface is approximately is covered with water. Um, birds, birds consist of around 75% of water. And if you take plants or trees, uh, up to 80-90% of water. So it's the foundation of us, all of us here. And the more life you have on in a place, in a landscape, the more water comes back to it. It's kind of how you might wonder how can this be? How can you get more water? Because there is just a finite amount of water in on the planet. But basically, once you have all these life, all these vegetation, animals on a landscape, they attract um, they attract more water. They attract more life, and then by this you have more water. And there is this famous climate specialist, Mediterranean climate specialist Milan Milan. He died this year, unfortunately. And he dedicated his life to studying the Mediterranean climate and the loss of summer storms. And he has this very popular amongst the water people, very popular phrase: "Water begets water, soil is the womb, and vegetation is the midwife." And what he means by that? So first phrase, water begets water. That's about the more water you have on the landscape in form of life, in form of pure water, the more it comes back to it, the more it attracts, it begets water. Um, And water is not only in the form of life above land, it's also in the ground. And there you have so much life, the soil web or soil sponge with all those microorganisms which live there. They are also life. And what they do in the soil is they live there, they have exudates which they excrete and kind of interact with each other. They die, and by dying there, they stick together, and with these exudates, they stick together, they create pores, and this is how water can infiltrate into the soil. So you have life, it attracts water to this life below the ground.
And stores
And
it.
sorry?
And stores it. Storing water in the ground.
Oh yeah, and stores it, exactly. Yeah, exactly. True. And then you have vegetation, the midwife. So yeah, soil is the womb because it's unseen, you don't notice it, but it plays such a crucial role in holding this piece of water and life together. And then you have vegetation, which is the midwife, which helps the water from the ground into the atmosphere so that it can come back into the ground. So it helps with the cycling of this water. And I like this phrase very much because it kind of brings back on, because there is a lot of discussions, soil first or water first, what is more important? And for me, this sentence kind of clearly points out where all factors are important, of course, and are required, but it kind of points out on where we should focus really first, and then the others will cascade down, and it will be easier to work on these others. Yeah, and this cycling, this brings me to the to next question with the water cycles. This cycling describes one of the water cycles, and I will come to that. So first, what is a water cycle? We have learned about it at school, actually, and our teachers most probably told us that we have the oceans, we have the lake, and from this water, from the oceans, the water evaporates, comes into the atmosphere, and then the wind blows it into the land inland, and then we have rain. And that's what I learned, and that's what most people learned, actually. And it turns out that's just one part of the game, because there is also a small water cycle. So if you take the first one is big water cycle, you have also a small one, which is very local. And this local water cycle, what is that one about? It's about vegetation, it's about trees, it's about grasses, it's about the life, like the vegetation life at the place. It creates water. Trees create rain in a way, and I will explain. It's not like creating from you, but I will explain how. It's the midwife part that I explained before. If you have trees, they can take water from the ground, and through their stems, they transport it up to their leaves. There, they evapotranspire this water into the atmosphere, this water vapor, in form as vapor. This gets up into the atmosphere. Clouds can form. This is one part. The second part, which is crucial about trees, is they have so much life on their leaves. Microorganisms are just one part. You have birds, etc., my insects, but you have microorganisms as well. And through like the wind blowing or evaporation, like through different factors, these microorganisms, they also come into the atmosphere. They move up.
Okay. Yeah.
And these microorganisms, they can spark rain when the conditions are right. So sometimes they're the crucial part of making it rain when the other conditions are right. So you have these two factors by trees, by this local cycle, which can trigger rain locally if the other conditions are right, and the rain comes back to the soil, to the ground, the roots of the trees take it up, they evaporate, and and clouds form, rain, water goes down, and this is a cycling of the water, of the local water, and this is the this is the small water cycle. And according to Milan, the climate specialist, this accounts for 40 to 60% of rain locally.
Wow.
So it's a very significant part, actually, according
Yes.
to him.
Yes.
And this just tells you how important vegetation is and how much we screwed up actually by removing vegetation and putting concrete instead.
It's a big topic. It's a big topic. We have messed up. Yeah.
Yeah, but we are also good in fixing things. So otherwise we wouldn't be here, right?
Yeah.
So
We are. Well, many people talk about resilience. I talk about anti-fragility. We humans, we are anti-fragile rather than just resilient. I'm really sorry. We are my people, the civil engineers, messed up. Yeah, we did that. I have a hypothesis that I'm working on since a few months. I call it radical urbanization. It's a bit because we need to have civilization. We need what we need urban areas where we can build schools, where we can build factories, and yes, but at a certain point, for example, where I am, it's a very crucial area to the larger ecological system of the region. Like you have said before, I'm just observing. I'm less in the literature, but I'm a lot with plants and trees, and it does seem that is so. One thing I think you didn't mention, I would like to add, is the fog. Because here directly I'm between two rivers, and the city is between two rivers, 7 kilometers between the two, and the ocean from the other side. And when the fog comes, and the trees, they from the fog, they bring it down to the ground. And they fill the ground. And like you have said before, sometimes I walk in a woody area, a small forest. Unfortunately, they have cut almost all of them here. Unfortunately, and this is a big issue because I'm observing there is less fog, and one thing I would like to come back to what you explained about the bacteria and the leaves. That is very interesting to me. How do they make that? Do they initiate some consolidation of water molecules in the air or something like that?
so how the how the rain is sparked.
Yes, you
Um,
from the microbiology you spoke about. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, so I don't know the process in very detail, but I know that for sparking rain, you have the clouds. They need to become ice before they become rain, and in this process, this um, maybe the ice formation. I don't really want to say something wrong here because I don't know in detail,
Yeah.
but this is approximate way. In one of these steps, the microorganisms can spark the transition of one form into the other, and then it rains.
Yeah, I think it probably because I read some a long time ago. I read a water modification patent technology. It's a technology, so they call it something like cloud seeding or something like this, and they
Yeah,
talk about the ice nuclei. But
yeah,
where do they
exactly.
start? They start with the ice nuclei. Maybe the
Mhm.
bacteria works in this process to form the ice nuclei, probably.
Yeah, yeah, might be exactly. They're up there and they facilitate this this transformation. They're called rain nuclei or nuclei, cloud condensation nuclei, and or as some, I think there is different definitions or
Yeah.
wordings, but agree with you. Yeah.
The thing is, when you have an old forest, there is a lot of roots and microbiology. Although I am a mechanistic from my education and my experience, but I have a deep connection with nature due to my childhood and the observation. I'd like to observe, just sit around and touch the ground. And when you do that day after day, a year after year, your brain somehow, that's what we call intuition. You understand many things like intuitively, although you haven't read a book about it, but you kind of know how it works. And this comes from touching, from smelling. For example, when I walk, I take leaves and do like this and smell how they how they smell, touch the ground. And the one thing to know about the healthy soils are not dry. And although there is no rain, I've seen that quite a lot in Morocco. Morocco is a dry area, and you go there and you touch the ground with like 20 centimeters, and you can feel it. This is not dry. And in other areas where there is no microbiology, meaning there was a lot of contamination, or the land is bare, was bare for a long period of time, the soil is hard. It's very hard, and you can feel it in your hands. That's very
Mm.
important. So the trees take the water from the underground, and through inspiration puts it in the, yeah, it's very interesting process. Love it, love it. Thank you.
Trees
Uh,
do so much for us, we just don't see it or don't notice it.
Yes, what I'm up to is the infiltration because we have a lot of floodings, and these floodings are related also to dryness because the roots, I do think, and the microbiology in the ground helps avoid the floodings because they create pathways under the ground, and the soil can absorb more water, much more.
Exactly, yeah. One, if you have roots, those roots make the soil porous. It creates holes and pathways for the water to go in
Yeah.
contrast to very compacted land, which has no pores, no space for water in. But if you have roots, be it from trees or be it from bushes, from plants, from grasses, from any kind of vegetation, it helps the water really go into the soil. And what roots can also do is attract microorganisms, attract life. And as I said, this life then dies there, it has exudates, it sticks. It's kind of a matrix in there. And in this matrix, there is holes once they degrade. And in these holes, the water can stay. And this is why you feel this forest soil being a bit moist and not dry, because it can save this water so much longer in the soil through life.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Life makes water, and water makes life. They go with each other. It's kind of spiritual. Yeah, this is yeah. Water is definitely spiritual. It's yeah. There is no doubt about it. Because without it, there is no life. And uh, we are the most advanced life, at least so a life that can alter the environment. We are the most advanced life that can alter the environment, probably that has ever existed on our planet. And yes, and we are capable of being good and capable of correcting our mistakes, but we are also Einstein said once that true things one should not. He does. He personally does not know the limits, the universe, and the human stupidity. And he said like something like this. But I'm not sure about the universe. So,
Yeah.
so let's keep that in mind. So we have understanding, and we should walk together, like from different fields. Try to make this understanding translate into solutions on the ground. And for me personally, I do not see a good future without major corrections in civil engineering and how we finance civil engineering, how we create settlements, how we manage settlements, including water, of course. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, we need to work with nature a bit more and take nature as examples for.
Yes. So the main problem, in my opinion, and my opinion is relevant in this topic, since my education was in mechanistic engineering, mechanistic science, mechanical engineering, and civil engineering. I graduated from the only university in Germany that has an international program, international civil engineering. So, and I was looking at infrastructure, how we do infrastructure, how we finance infrastructure worldwide. And I came to the conclusion that we should put limits to urbanization, what I came to with the name. Lately, I started calling it radical urbanization because it's radical. If it is going to eradicate the ecological system, it is radical. So, but I'm for construction. I'm from I like concrete. I like asphalt. But the thing is, we should know where to build, not just start just because there is money. Money is just printed at this point in time worldwide, and there is a lot of corruption going there worldwide. There is no country that has no corruption. So it's a human phenomena. Uh, in the school of libertarianism or Austrian economics, because I belong to that school of thinking, and we say power corrupts absolutely. And in civil engineering, is huge amounts of money flowing in for infrastructure. So we should be careful in that. And especially in the deltas of rivers meeting the oceans, or example you have mentioned before, the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean is a catastrophe, in my opinion, and it is difficult to correct problems there, much difficult to where I am, because I am on the Atlantic. I'm studying my local ecological system, and I see that the growing of uncontrolled urbanization, there are no limits to it. So grow, 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 grow. That's a bad idea. So the main idea is put limits to where we build, especially on those areas, because when you have a river coming to meeting the water, it brings also the leaf runoff. So you have talked about microbiology in the soil. A lot of this microbiology ends up in the ocean, feeding the plankton and many processes probably that we still don't know about yet, contributing to the larger ecological system, the fish and the birds and everything. So this is uh, what I am at the moment. Let's limit uh, construction in the deltas of rivers in order to prevent a major ecological collapse. So, did you look at this process, the relation, the because why I'm saying that? the coastal forests are so huge in their impacts on rainfall, all not just on the coast, but on the whole of the land. Can you speak about that? The influence that you uh, uh, started looking at it, the coastal parts of it, because they are important. Because you cannot say, okay, we destruct the forests on the coast, we eliminate them, but we are going to create a forest in the mountains, and everything is okay. I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I can talk about it. So I've read a lot about the Milan, so the climate specialist, and his work. And what he actually found during his life research was that you need those forests, you need this vegetation, these trees at the coast to moderate climate. So how does that work? So for Milan studied the disappearance of what he called summer storms in the Mediterranean in Spain, where he was. And what he and his local people observed is that in the past there was rain during summer, and now there's not. So what's the difference? The difference is tourism, urbanization, expansion of concrete surfaces, etc., etc., loss of forests, loss of marshes. And what he found out through his research was you need two factors locally in the Mediterranean to create rain. One is the sea breeze, so you need the wind, the water vapor coming from the ocean. And two, you also need the vegetation to transpire vapor so that the atmosphere can saturate and can release rain. And through the removal of the vegetation of the trees in the past, this second factor is gone. So you still have the sea breeze coming in, and it goes inland at the coast, and a few clouds form, and you see them disappear. So what happens is these clouds, they move up a bit and then they move back to the ocean. And then this water vapor accumulates at the ocean. It's at the different layers. It accumulates because it can't be released as in form of rain at the inland coast. And so this happens over the whole summer. It accumulates, it supercharges, and when the clouds go back to the ocean, they also take pollutants with them. And those pollutants, they heat up the ocean surface in a part. And this then leads also to stronger rains in the autumn in the Mediterranean. And the second thing, so you have the polluting part, and then you have the second thing, the accumulating part of the water vapor over the ocean. What happens is when this vapor gets inland and when there is strong winds, then you have massive rain events because of the supercharging, because of the accumulation. And these massive rain events are in Europe, so not only in the coast, but in Central Europe. So this is how the loss of the forests, of the trees and vegetation at the coast impacts our climatic extreme events in Europe, in Central Europe. You remove a tree, you don't have the release of water and the heat and the strength locally, but it accumulates, supercharges, goes in, and then you have this massive release. And this is what we start seeing now. So this is what he observed and published and propagated throughout his whole life, actually. And this is how the weather from the coasts is connected to inland. So you can't just say it's a national problem, it's just Spain, it's just Croatia, whatever. No, it's the continent, it's transnational. Weather doesn't oblige to our
Doesn't have
country
a passport.
borders. Exactly. It just takes its natural flow, and this is what we interfere every time we remove a tree. We remove the capacity of nature to really bring back this rain at where it should go. And one interesting thing, actually, what he proposed we could do is, and this was his proposal for investors who want to, have tourism and want to build and bring in people there. Hey, yeah, still you can do that. Just try to use, to not seal the land, so allow that the water goes into the soil and put a lot of vegetation around your houses and touristic places. And in addition to that, buy up some land close to the inland, to the coast, and regenerate that.
Yeah.
Because by planting vegetation there close to the coast, um, you can compensate this and you can then stabilize these events a bit. So he actually proposed a solution for that as well. So it's not like he's just looking at problems. There is a solution.
I'm 100% with him. This is the same for me. I'm observing the same thing. Although I'm not very informed about the ecology scientifically, but I'm mainly observing it from my background as a civil engineer. And I see that these problems and the solutions he is proposing 100% are viable. But one thing I should add is before buying land and planting trees, that we still have some pockets of land that already has a lot of trees, and we should protect those. For example, I had the last 2 months, I had a major depression because I was trying to figure out how to stop a cutting of a coastal forest here, highly critical to the ecological system. The last one in this city, and it's only a few hectares of land, a few dozens of thousands of square meters, but it has a lot of root networks and biology in it, birds, and I was chilling quite a lot the last couple of years in the area, and yes, they come with a plan, so they want to transform this land into multi-story buildings. And what I say they are building boxes for zombies, because zombies are human beings, and we human beings have qualities, and if we continue, I call it, if we continue this pathway, we are going to end up with a population of zombies and vampires. Those terms have a lot of load philosophically. They are not just Hollywood movies, but the philosophical parts of it are true. It has to do with how we live and how our brain, because a zombie has almost no link to nature. A zombie doesn't understand nature. A zombie doesn't want the pollen from the trees to come into his nose. But is still a human being. We are going to end up with that. And I was trying to argument with people, and it's a dead end. And we need this knowledge to reach higher levels of managerial levels, especially in the third world, because they are looking at Europe and they see, okay, what we see in the movies are the street. Oh, there's concrete, and there is beautiful buildings, and they want this to happen here. They want the same thing as Europeans.
Mm.
But by doing so, they cut the important parts of the ecological system, create these multi-story buildings. These multi-story buildings, in order to feed them with water, we need to block the water with using dams. So there is less water coming to underground, so that the roots can put dirt off and then aspire this water into the air. This is one part. The second part is those trees consume this fresh water. These settlements consume fresh water, directly on the ocean or on the sea. Like we look onto Mediterranean, for example, you have big cities all over the place. So these cities, some fresh water mixes with toxins. I don't know, toxins from all kind of stuff, from makeup, washing, these chemicals for cleaning clothes and washing dishes and industry and a lot of chemicals that are toxic. They kill microbiology and put that on direction to the ocean or to the sea, and they cause massive die out of plankton, which is leading to die-offs of fish, marine life, and birds. And birds, they are an important link or communicator. Probably this term, they use it. This term, they communicate, they transport microbiology through they, like, I don't know, their feces has a lot of microbiology in they throw it in the ocean or on the soil, and they create connection. And so I'm because the where I am is a highly critical part of the ecological system, and I'm observing this. It's happening at a rapid pace. So what I'm proposing is protect what we have first, because if we lose what we have and then dream about capturing carbon and this fairy tale, that's not gonna work. So we should work on developing legislation or framework to protect critical areas, especially in the deltas of rivers. This is too important. And then start buying up lands on the coasts and creating these spots like what Evgenia one of the last episodes, she has a project, she names it forest sanctuaries. So like taking up 10 hectares of land and creating a forest for generations, so multi-generational process. This should work.
That makes so much sense. I watched the documentary by Andrew Millison. He's a permaculture designer and teacher, and he does awesome videos on YouTube. I don't know whether you know him. He
No,
documented success stories, documents them, and one of them, or a few of them are from India. And there, in one video, he explained in a situation in India, there was a huge drought in a big, big city, which was close to a lake, and this lake usually served as water source for this city. But that year, the monsoon didn't come as usual. They didn't have enough rain, so huge drought all over the city, and they had to import. India had to like import water to them because people would not have anything to drink. And then, interestingly, he found one family there. He found one house, one property with I don't know how many 200 square meters of land, which was densely packed with trees. And the special thing about this is they did not have this problem with water. They had a fountain in their garden. They always had water there. They built some underground storages. They had trees around. They had a fountain, and they could always hear some dropping throughout this drought period. So you can do so much with trees. Protect what you have, but if you don't have it anymore, just try to recreate it. And this person, they put in these trees and storage, and they didn't have issues. Of course, they needed to save water and everything, but they were not dependent on the city bringing them water. So that's what I wanted to say on.
yeah, that's I agree 100%. I'm 100% for decentralization of water, decentralization of the grid, electric grid. Because what I'm at is how to create holistic settlements. And when we talk about holistic settlements, you should consider everything. And you start, water is the most essential one. You start with that. and yet we should not rely on a huge continental network or huge networks. That's not going to help us. Especially, it creates vulnerability and the fragility. So when a problem comes, then you will have a massive die out of human beings. One thing you learn as a in mechanistic science, so you don't you should leave emotions out. And if we continue this path that we are going in, we are going to witness a massive die out of human beings. Many talk about. I also use this term ecocide and ecocide, not just because I like I do like the nature, but the thing I like human beings much more, and I know if we destruct nature, we feed from nature. So we are going to self-destruct, and the meaning we're gonna have massive die outs, and it's gonna take us maybe hundreds of years if we have to recover. But there is optimism. I started being optimistic after listening to and reading many about the topic of regeneration. And there is hope because microbiology and biology reproduce quickly, and there is hope there because even we have now a lot of problems, but within 2 decades, 3 decades, we can start seeing a massive recovery.
I agree. I don't I never like to leave a really negative vision on
Yes.
its own because I mean agree we are very destructive as humans. What I see is now people waking up and fighting for themselves, for nature. We are nature, and it's not people fighting against destruction. It's nature protecting itself. So this is what we are doing. Some of us who started these pathways. And one example that I also want to frame here is the Loess Plateau in China. It was one of the most severely damaged ecosystems. It's I don't know how many hectares. That was destructed by intense agriculture over years and years and years and years and years. And then the government came in and they started to restore it. They made a plan, they detailed out everything on permaculture basics. And what happened within 10 to 12 years, rain came back. Sandstorms in the area reduced. People had a new basis for selling produce. So they produced now fruits, vegetables, new produce that they could sell. So economic basis was there. They improved their situation within a human's lifetime, 10 years. And it's
Yeah.
not like you don't see anything for 10 years and then all of a sudden, no, you see progress like constantly. But
Yes.
the really remarkable things, 10, 15 years.
The beautiful thing about it, beautiful thing about it is people talk about a lot about mental health at the moment, and there is a problem with mental health. There is a problem with depression. This can also cure that because when you have a, and also we have a massive problem with the job loss everywhere. It's gonna get much worse. But the thing is, what I have discussed with the Christian about syntropic farming, but we have discussed also about this issue. If we create incentive to restore the land, create forest sanctuaries on the coast and everywhere else, everywhere it is possible, limits to radical urbanization, especially in critical areas to ecological systems. And I'm not talking about not construction. We are for construction with one advancement, with one technology, but we should always question, is that helpful for us? Is this good for us? Will it serve me and serve my kids and the future generation and their kids? and see from 100 years from now and 200 years from now. Because, for example, when I was growing up, uh, grown up on a healthy swamp that no longer exists, and in a lifetime it's gone. The thing is to recover that. We probably, I don't think 10 years is gonna solve that, because there were old trees, and those trees, some of them were probably 1,000 years, at least hundreds of years, but all trees are gone, and 99 point something. It's definitely less than 1% left. And this is a big issue. Although we will see recovery, we could see recovery in 10 years, 15 years, we should also look at that these projects should have a lifespan of hundreds of years and not be related to political parties or elections and bureaucracies. It should be very deep. I don't know. I have some ideas, but as I'm an individual, it should be a collective collection of ideas and working of ideas how to do that. But it should be for hundreds of years in order to stabilize the system. And this process will generate a lot of meaning for a lot of human beings that have, I don't know, if you have a depression or you have a mental issue, we can create a forest with a hospital facility there, and let's reach people there. Let's bring them out, help us in the land. I do think within a few weeks they will get better. Uh, it
Yeah.
was it was in my case. I was living in Germany in Mainz for 7 years, and then Corona came, and I had to move to a foreign country to finish my studies. So in my program was like that, to get an international degree, and then moved to Denmark. And the situation was very stressful, and I was not eating well, and a lot of stress and money issues, and my body was giving me bad signals. So I came back to Morocco, and I was a lot with plants. And within a few weeks, months, everything was regenerated, and I was doing very well. So the process of regenerating forest is not only about the forest, it's also about us and about many generations to come. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And what I wanted to say is the cool thing about water and water restoration is that you don't need to wait 100 years. You can wait a couple of years and then you see beautiful effect. Because bringing people on board when you talk about 100 years and when you talk beyond their death, some people just can't follow you anymore. So you need this quick wins.
Yes.
And working with water is just that. Bring in a pond somewhere or a smaller lake, and you will see the effect within a couple of years, and it will amaze you, and your mental health will go along, and you will feel so much better. It's not only restoring the land, it's restoring yourself as well.
Yeah.
So this is also one part why I love this topic, and I really want to, at least now, to really dedicate my life also towards this in some way or the other.
Yes, and we need people like you. We need people who have good education. I think you have a PhD. In what
In
did you made your PhD?
Yeah, it was life sciences or microbiology. I was basically working on salmonella. So,
Salmonella? What is that?
salmonella, it's this bacteria which you find in chicken, which leads to diarrhea and can cause troubles for people
Yeah,
with immune deficiency or for children.
yeah.
You're drawn to bed for 1 week. You have to go to the toilet very often,
Yes.
and then
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. Microbiology is very interesting. Um, I have only a microscope that can make 120 times bigger, and I love that. I don't see microbiology, of course, 100 times bigger. It's not micro. Uh, It's still in, yes, but it's very interesting to see this live. And one thing I would like to share with you, James Moffat, we are both read his work is on LinkedIn. He posted something the other day, last week, I think, and I commented on that trees can have better access to nutrition when there is biodiversity in in the soil microbiome, and they can access these much better than you can have, for example. So this brings us. I will say a few things and think about. I would like you to comment on these issues in related. Okay, we have someone or an organization or a group of human beings that have a plot of land that want to regenerate it, build a forest or build a farm or build a house with the beautiful environment in it. And I come to my point. So we have microorganisms helping the trees, helping the root of the trees absorb uh, better nutrients. So these plants, these trees can grow and grow healthier, faster, stronger. Their immune system, because all life has immune system. Their immune system is strong. When a bacteria, a bad bacteria or a virus comes, these trees can stand there and survive. And I have commented on his post by saying it's not just these microorganisms help the root absorb and nutrients. They do this also for us in the gut microbiome. In our gut, when we have healthy gut microbiome, we can eat just a few, not too much food, just a bit of food, and we can have better access to these nutrients because our microorganism is healthy. And I learned that the hard way. The thing is, it's not just us human beings and trees and plants, but also animals. For example, I observed in my local area that the cats, street cats, were getting a little bit lazier. They were not a bit fatter, a little bit fat, and they do not look healthy as before, a year, 2 years, 3 years. And then I started seeing that people were giving them highly processed food, so-called food,
Mhm.
non-natural food, so highly processed everywhere. I do think there is some kind of they have someone imported quite a lot of junk food for cats. They given them that, and I think it's the same thing. When the gut microbiome is ruined through, uh, for example, bad diets, fiat food, or I don't know, bad food, the same thing applies to the roots. So knowing that, please comment on this. Taking into consideration, for example, I have a land, 5 hectare land, and I want to regenerate it. Okay, I want to build a house or multiple housing units for use either as a hostel or as a small doctor praxis or a small farm. Where to start? Should I work on wells, plant the trees first, build ponds? Give us some ideas, please.
Yeah, thanks for that. It's funny because one huge water creator on LinkedIn, Alphalo, posted a similar question recently on LinkedIn. So I
Yes.
don't know whether you saw it,
Nice.
but yeah. So where to start? It's basically look at. So first, what do the people want? What is it? What is their priorities? Why are they doing that? What is their aim and vision for this land? Because it's their land, and ultimately uh, they will make it succeed or not. Look at the climate, and then one of the first things is water. You mentioned so much on soil and soil health, and this is one really big and important topic. But you look at it at the next step, so not in the very beginning, because you need to sort out some key things, and these are climate, what do the people want, and water actually. Look at the geography and where you can hydrate the land on the top highest point most. So first step, look at where is the highest point, where can you hydrate this land from the top, because when you start hydrating at the top, it kind of soaks in and then goes down, and then you repeat these structures. If you have a position on your land which has too much water and another position which doesn't have water, you can transport this water through earth structures like terraces or like key lines, which have an inclination, a very small one, 1%, for example. And you can transport then the water that is too much at one place to that place where it's too little. And this is how you hydrate your land at the highest position already.
So, like creating streams, for example, could work.
A stream is maybe the wrong word. I would do it really subtle. I mean, it does have a decline, like it declines a bit, but not too much, because if you have too much of a decline, it becomes too fast and too much force. You
For
need
the
to balance.
infiltration,
Sorry?
because of the infiltration, so that it can infiltrate to the ground, or
Uh, you can at some so basically you can get very creative with these earthen structures.
yes.
At some points where you see you want to hydrate land, and it's too dry, there you make the structure, let's say the terrace, even, and this helps to infiltrate. You have to infiltrate the land there. At some place you see, okay, I have too much water here and I want to bring it to position B, where there is not so much, and where I want to create, for example, an infiltration pond or infiltration basin or a water collection pond. Then you make these structures with an inclination so that this water does not stand, does not infiltrate at this position, but it moves that water to that direction where you want it to be, and where you want it to have. And there you can then collect the water. Or you can let it infiltrate into the soil, which is even better, because this is how you hydrate the land and you saturate it with water. If you want to collect it, if you have some major surfaces where you have runoff, or and you want to collect it to use it for irrigation or to use it for beauty, aesthetics, you can store water in two ways. One is with your soil, and this is what I was talking about before, and one is above ground actually, and this is in water tanks, for example. You can use rooftops, like the water that you get from rooftops or parking lots, and collect this in your storage. This is actually a really crucial part that I think in the Mediterranean should be obligatory, but it's not, unfortunately. But yeah, collect rainwater, and then you can use it for your needs for irrigation. You can use it for household, filter it, use it for showering. You can also, through proper filtration, use it for drinking too. So this is also a very essential part of managing and storing water. And then, of course, once you have this big part, then you come to planning your vegetation around. And there's so many options, and it all really depends on your local issues that you have. If you want to restore soils, if you want to bring in some nutrients if you want to decompact compacted lands. There is different kinds of, or if you want to improve just biodiversity, or you want to have food planted for yourself in form of trees. So many solutions exist, and then you start thinking about which trees and shrubs and plants and vegetation in general you want to plant there. And then at the last step, where you would, or not at the last, but the next step would be how is your soil? How can you improve your soil locally to make all this happen? And there you can use plants to bring in nutrients that you want in, or to decompact the soil. You can use mechanical tools, of course, as well.
Yes.
It really depends on the degree of where you are and what you want to reconcile and recover. And yeah, exactly. So when you have a small garden, you do more laborious solutions. When you have a big chunk piece of land, you try to use techniques that do not require so much of your work and let nature work for you. But of course, you do it small, like step by step, because you wouldn't change everything at once. You learn from nature.
Yeah, what I think is a good idea to do is to incorporate some useful insects, pollinators from the beginning. I do think that bees and butterflies, and there are other ones that I don't have the names for them. One and also useful microbiology. I do think what's the name of them yeah, Ameisen, uh,
Ants.
and I do think that they are good for the soil regeneration, so that the soil starts being a living soil. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, the
Yeah,
is
you're
this
right.
good idea to
You're
do that with introducing microbiology? For example, I have, for example, a plot of land here in Morocco, and the land is degraded. So I go to another plot of land in the area that is not degraded, and I take, for example, a few hundreds or kilograms from this ground, because there is a lot of microbiology in there, and spray it on my land. Yeah,
Mhm.
can I do
Um,
that?
you need to look at from a holistic view, because you bring it in if you don't have any structures to maintain these organisms, insects, they won't stay. So this is part of what you can do, but you also need to look at how do I create the space for them, the habitat, the home for them where they feel well. So this is by planting vegetation that they need. And then you can combine it with getting, this is actually a really good technique with getting soil from the surrounding, from a healthy forest, because it brings you the microbiota that you need and that will help your plants as a combination. But alone, it won't work, because you can't just bring in a butterfly and hope that it stays there. It needs a place where it can lay its eggs, where it's protected, where it can find food. You need to develop these ecosystems for
Yes.
those animals and insects and organisms that you want to have on your land.
Yes, so it's
But it's a great idea to help yourself by bringing it also from healthy places in your environment, in your surrounding.
as far as my understanding, and I don't read too much. I'm more like I read some highly quality stuff and think about it a lot and observe. I love observation. Just observe, but observation is not just with the eyes. You should also hear, you should also touch, also smell. So and I do that quite a lot. And what in from my understanding, and I say this again, from a civil engineer. What I know most is concrete and steel. The thing is to regenerate. I do think that all life can help. For example, we can also bring animals there and start using their waste. And also, I am what I say.
Yeah.
It's I haven't, when I say that to people, they laugh at me all the, I say also, oh, I don't have waste. So my H's are not waste. There are nutrients there. There are millions of bacteria there. So these should go to the land somehow using advanced techniques. And there are several, many people have developed ideas and techniques and structures to do that. So if all this is just to mimic nature, to mimic the cycle of life. A policy of no waste is very good, or a policy of almost no waste. Because
Yeah,
no
yeah.
waste 100% is difficult. We have plastic, we have glass, we have steel. So yeah, but no zero biological waste should be adopted. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree on the animals part as well. We haven't touched upon this yet.
Yeah, great.
Mhm.
Okay, Ismeta, thank you very much for this valuable and insightful
Mhm.
exchange and for helping me and the audience get a better understanding about the interconnectedness of us human beings with water, with nature, with forests. So I've talked about quite a lot of subjects, and I will link your links to the podcast on the website to wherever I put this exchange in YouTube and Spotify and Substack probably more. I don't know at this point, but I would like
Mhm.
to advance the podcast in the future. So yeah, I give you take a minute, and if you have an idea that you have missed that you still want to share with us, please feel free to share yeah, something with us, something of hope.
We are nature. We are nature, and and we work for nature, whether we see it or not. This is at least my standpoint.
That's a great one. This is integration. Yes.
We
Okay.
are part of the intelligent system.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of a whole. But we cannot exist on our own. We need the rest of creation, the rest of life to function properly. We cannot, I say that to people, you cannot eat cars, you cannot drink cell phones. So we need life and we need to protect it. And it helps us, it gives us nutrition and it takes care of our physical and psychological health. Yes, that's great. This is, thank you very much. Much more hopeful than an hour before. Namaste. Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Okay.